What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Beastly Thoughts, episode, I forgot, 148!
What's up, guys?
How is everybody doing?
Doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing really well, man. I got a new audio interface trying to make that thing work.
Trust me, I know. It's been awesome to watch. You guys missed it.
I'm doing a lot better now. I'm staring at you guys' beautiful faces.
I mean, it's the best part of the week, right? Beastly Thoughts Live, best part of the week. Get to see you guys have great conversations about video games. Always a great event.
Absolutely.
Well, this is what I propose we do in the future. A lot of you guys love watching the show, and you have an affinity towards Mr. Briar Rabbit. I think Briar should start a Patreon, and that Patreon, if you become a patron, you can watch the Before Beastly Thoughts show, and you can see him go through absolute hell trying to get his OBS and his new templates working, seeing the sweat and blood dripping off of his forehead.
Right, there's a reason I'm dripping sweat every time Beastly Thought starts. It's because I'm just trying to make every fucking thing work.
It's great.
We see how panicked you are, yeah. Every time before we go live.
I mean, look, I'll put it into a few words that you guys can understand. Every time I look at Briar, he has a look on his face like his wife just left him, and then I realize he's looking at his fucking computer trying to figure out what's wrong.
What's wrong this week? You know what I should do is I should just record a video, like on my phone, of just getting this show started every week because it's this week. I got a new audio interface, so like all my sound is going into the computer like in a new method. Plus, I got an OBS upgrade, so I went from like version like 17 point whatever to 18.0.1. So I'm like, well, that's fucking hit or miss every time I do an OBS upgrade.
Yep.
That could go anyway. I'm really excited to see you, Gary, Beastly, Robbie. We're gonna have a good show today. We got a lot of great news to talk about. I'm really excited to talk about the Destiny news. I know that Robbie put it in the news this week because good lord, he received a fucking metric shit
I didn't
ton.
even know there was Destiny news, if I'm honest.
It needs to be at the top of the news. Actually, that's big news.
That is big news. Big news. So let's start off with what you guys been playing this week. I know
episode 2 for you.
Sophomore slump this week. You get to see me choke.
Well, let's get that out of the way. Gary, what have you been playing?
Just stares blankly at the camera. No, I've been playing a lot actually. It's been a good week for gaming. I've tried to split my time. Dusting that layer of thick dust off of the VR headset and actually playing some games on the damn thing. I feel like it's such an effort to set up that sometimes you just forget that it's there. So I forced myself to do that. But let's talk about
Do you not keep it set up all the time, Gary? Like mine's always kind of just there. It's always plugged in and ready to go.
No, I don't. I try to keep. I'm real OCD with everything. So it's away on a stand in a cupboard, just away. So for me, it's it's a sort of 5-minute setup of
really
creating my safe zone and all that shit. So
I have OCD, but I think it's in a different way. It's got to be ready to go at all times.
And how often do you use it?
When I first got it was every day.
Yeah.
Lately, it's I've been a little bit distracted by other games with Horizon Zero Dawn. With all the stuff that's come out lately, it's been hard to
put aside VR Friday. That's what I did. VR Fun Friday, and just get the other half in, play it with friends, with partners. Just really do. I'll get into that. I mean, I'll cover off what I did first with the PS4. So, Nier Automata. I bought it. It had been sitting on my must playlist. Zelda and Horizon got in the way, but I finally got around to beating that game. It was great. So if anyone's interested in Nier, it's directed by Yoko Taro, who's kind of a offbeat, kind of eccentric character, was behind the first Nier game and Drakengard. It was produced by Platinum Games as well, so they were the, responsible for the combat element. So if you were a fan of Bayonetta or Metal Gear Rising...
Oh, if you love Platinum Games action, this is probably going to be right up your alley.
Except for Ninja Turtles. Go on.
Yeah, let's not pretend that exists.
Ninja Turtles is a modern masterpiece, but let's not go there. It's best way to describe Nier is if you put two developers, an Eastern developer and a Western developer, in a room and pitch them the concept of a dystopian future with a female protagonist and robots roaming the world, and let them go away. What the Eastern guys would create Nier and the Western guys would create Horizon. And that's pretty much the best allegory to put to it. So to me, it was the spiritual opposite to playing Horizon and the perfect game to bounce off of it with. It's a game that sets mood in music, in thematic landscape, in desolation, and really gets you to question a lot of why you're playing the game as much as what you're doing in the game. So my best way of explaining it was playing a good game to me, and I experienced this in the BioShock games and some other things, is like watching a good magician. So what I don't want to do is feel like I'm playing to the beat of someone's drum, and my only choices in dialogue are, do you want to take the good path or the bad path? To me, it's all about, taking me down the route that you want me to go, but me not realizing that I'm being taken that way, and all of a sudden just dumping on me in a big way, this big payoff. And that's exactly what you get in Nier. It's breathtaking at times, and there's 26 possible endings, one for each letter of the alphabet, and they let you know which one you've unlocked. I only unlocked one ending, but yeah, absolutely spectacular game. Could talk about it for the full hour, but I won't. It's been good. I mean, did any of you guys have any thoughts on it? Have you had any exposure to it? But
it looks super cool from what I've seen, but I don't know enough about it. Yeah, but it looks awesome.
As a huge fan of Bayonetta 2 on the Nintendo Wii U, after that game, I was like holding my breath for whatever they were doing next. And then, of course, Turtles came out, and they've had some other games as well getting canceled for the Xbox One. But I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot of gaming outlets speak about how amazing this game is. I saw Digital Foundry talk about it. I've seen some reviews. And I was really wondering, I was like, are they back to the formula of Bayonetta 2? And everything I'm seeing has led me to think they are. This game is definitely on my must-play list. It's a game I'll be buying sometime soon. You guys know I buy a lot of games. I don't get a chance to play them. But I feel that your analogy for this is perfect. It's the Eastern representation of a game like Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's an incredible way to put it. And I feel like more than likely that's exactly what you're going to get. It's a dystopian future. It's a female protagonist, robots roaming the landscape. And it's so similar, yet so different. But one thing about this game that I've seen, it's kind of like what you said with the magician thing. It's a big surprise that there's so many different aspects of gameplay in this game. It's a third-person adventure game, and sometimes it turns into a side-scroller, hack and slash type of adventure. There are other times where it's like those old arcade games where you're like the ship flying and there's enemies coming into the screen and you're shooting them. So to me, it's just a myriad of gameplay types that somehow they nailed magically, and I can't wait to play it. Thank you for sharing that. I definitely am going to be picking that game up.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be entertained and have a narrative, you'd play Horizon and have that strong Hollywood-style story, that scripted story. Not detracting from it. I loved Horizon, but this is more getting you to question. It's a game based on existentialism. So, what is life? Is life humanity, or can life be captured in robotic form? Is consciousness life? You're playing as an android, someone devoid of life. You're fighting robots who've recolonized the planet and created their own societies, lifeless. The world is lifeless, yet somehow life lives on. And there's this perfect moments of the Japanese melodic soundtrack. I don't know if there's anyone that's old enough to remember Tenju on the PS1 and PS2.
Yes, it's awesome.
No idea.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
the old ninja games. It's got that haunting Japanese chanting melodic soundtracks, and I could listen to the soundtrack for hours. But yeah, that was my console AAA game. Absolutely loved it. Would recommend anyone to go out and try it, but I'll be warned, it's punishingly difficult, at least in the opening. The game,
yeah, I've heard it's hard as shit sometimes. Yeah,
the game just square kicks you in the nuts at the start of the game. Like, just sits there and says, "Open your legs. I'm going to plant one straight in you."
You can take that.
I'm going to buy it right now.
So they set the tone by saying this game does not autosave. And you will figure out how to save in the game. That's the text that comes up. And the first save point is 45 minutes into the game after the first boss. So if you die, back you go. I played it on one of the easier settings because I'm a scrub and terrible. But you can actually play it on a mode where one hit from anything will kill you instantly. Real top end punishing difficult.
That sounds like pulling teeth. Oh my god.
It's great. I'll leave it there. If anyone wants to discuss it more with me, I'm open to talking about it.
I heard about a really interesting mechanic at the end of the game where you can basically sacrifice your save to allow other people to have a better time or an easier time. You guys hear about that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, without going into spoilers on it, it's to do with the end credits and supporting other players who potentially may not have reached the right ending. You know, you can come in as a cavalryman to help them, but yeah, the game asks you to delete all of your progress to date, and if you do that and start from fresh, you're helping another player. It's got the Dark Souls mechanic where if you die, your body stays with a message, and you can recover things from that body. You know, that kind of element to it, the echoes. But yeah, there's tons more I could say on it, but I'm not going to because I'm conscious that other things. That the VR Friday that I've started with my fiance, we get down together and we say, do you know what, on Friday we're going to get the Oculus out and we're going to play some goddamn VR. And we're going to buy some new experiences. I don't care if it's a AAA game like Resident Evil. I'm happy for it to just be a 2-hour, put it up, you know, pay the $10, play it. And I've got 2 examples of those. One of them's free. And one of them was $13. So I'll start off with the free one because it was nice and quick. It's actually a movie, 12 minutes short, something called Dear Angelica. Really recommend it to anyone. It was premiered at the Sundance Film Festival this year in the modern presentation of art section, and it's the story of a girl remembering the memories of her mother who's passed on and was an actress through watching VHS tapes. But the beauty of it in VR is that it's painted like a watercolor canvas that appears around you in 360 degrees, and it's the only medium that could tell that story and tell it in such a touching and emotional way. You know, 12 minutes in and I was just a mess. I needed to lay down after. It was
a grown man in tears, nothing like that.
Oh, I was in a fetal position on the floor.
Nobody can see you cry in VR. You got that nice headset.
You're totally isolated. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, no
embarrassment, no shame.
I was saying to you, Brian, my fiance is a massive hard ass and just called me a pussy and went through it completely unaffected. But you know,
I love it.
Women have bigger balls than all of us here, so that's fair to say. But yeah, Dear Angelica, if anyone has the capability to watch it with a VR headset or has someone that they know that can do it, watch it, take that 12 minutes out for yourself and just see how VR can actually be a platform for creation of art that's unique to that medium.
Is it Oculus only or is it Oculus and Steam?
It is Rift only on the store, but you can buy it through it's free, so you can acquire it through Revive or any other third-party piece of software. But yeah, absolutely stunning. It was actually drawn in Quill. I don't know if you're aware of Quill. Really? It's like Google Brush. Yeah, so someone has gone on with a VR headset on, used the 2 touch controllers, and painted this canvas around you. So they've painted it from the perspective of the person who's going to be viewing it.
That's insane.
So neat.
I gotta really check that out.
Yeah, it's free.
It's free.
You've got nothing to lose. And awesome. I promise you, again, you know, trigger warning if you've had a recent bereavement. Obviously, it's based around that. But if you're happy and comfortable with that subject matter, it's told in such a stunning way. Completely switching tangent to something that's much more fun. Trickster VR I played. So if anyone here is a fan of Diablo,
I may be interested in looter type games.
Yeah.
Right. So
me too. Yeah.
Picture a procedurally generated Diablo, which is already great in itself. Mm-hmm. But rather than viewing it top down, you are the adventurer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is completely.
Go
on.
Got locomotion movement, Brian, which I know you're happy with. You've got the freedom and ability to move around as you would any first-person shooter. You've got 13 weapons. So that's a sword and a shield, bow and arrow, lance, throwing knives, sort of demon hunter twin.
Champions of Norath, yeah.
Very much think like twin crossbows. And the guy, it's actually early access, so it's $13 on early access. Procedurally generated with a horde mode. Imagine being able to go in there and live the gladiator fantasy. You know, you can put your shield up and you can punt people with the sides of your shield, block them away, come in and slash with the sword. The combat mechanic is the tightest I've felt on any VR game, and I've played quite a lot, and I've played AAA.
That's important on these kind of games because a lot of these VR games with a sword is what you can do is you stick out your hand and go, and it registers as like a full every time you. So it's like you cheat your way through a game. Does that work, or does it sense like momentum, or how's it work?
So it senses momentum. It's got ragdoll physics introduced in it. He's continually updating this thing. So the enemy types that you've got, some of them have got shields and armor of their own. So if you come in with a slash or try to poke it, you won't get through it. You're going to have to hit the part of their body that's exposed, or you're going to have to stun them with a shield first to break their guard, and then come in with a block. I played it for half an hour.
I bet you were tired.
I tell you, I'm a 30-year-old man with very little exercise or physique. I was shattered. I was sweating. I was steaming up the VR headset. It's a workout in all the right ways. But yeah, I do not regret the $13. Trickster VR, get in on the early access, support the developer. He's doing this off the side of his desk. He's got a full-time job, This is something that he's doing for fun. And he's created something that's 97% positive with, I believe, 600 or so reviews on Steam.
Oh.
Yeah. Stunning. Get on it, Brian.
I'm gonna jump on that. Yeah, I saw that it's available on both, right? If you buy on one, you get it on the other as well.
It's not available on both, but the developer kindly tweeted us and said that if you get in touch with him, he'll give you a code for both.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's the only advice that I give anyone who's going to try it out is take the time to go into the options menu. If you feel you've got capable VR legs, turn off the comfort settings because they're incredibly intrusive. You've got the whole 30-degree teleport
Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, so you've got that, and also when you move, it puts on the blinkers, like the horse blinders that give you a screen size about that big.
Mm-hmm.
I'd recommend turning both of those off. As soon as I did, I had a really immersive, deep experience.
I'm really glad that. So I'm not really sure if it's the developers that are getting better at displaying like movement in a first-person world, or if we're as players getting used to experiencing it that way. But I'm glad that's a thing that can happen, because I was really worried that we'd never have first-person games with like realistic locomotion, right? And it seems like it is possible, right? Games like Onward, this game, Trickster, like these games are showing us that this is a possibility. We're going to be able to do this.
And it moves significantly faster than Onward. You have also got the teleport forward option, where you can leapfrog around. So it is accessible to newcomers, but I'd say the experience is incredibly compromised. But yeah, that's my VR Fun Friday. So I'm going to do this every week.
Awesome.
Do a couple of experiences that just kind of the PSVR as well, so don't feel excluded if anyone here's exclusively console. There was just not much out there. Oh, VR baby. Robbie, you got VR. Excellent.
No, he's got the phone.
I got it for Gear VR. That's it, though.
I'll bring Gear VR into it. And then finally, I've played Mass Effect, and I've had a complete change of heart. But
God,
I know that other people have been playing Mass Effect, so I'll let other people have their view, and then I'll come in my revelatory experience. And it was actually all thanks to Mr. Rabbit in the corner there. But I'm going to pass the mic. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Well, Robbie, I know you've been playing Mass Effect. What do you think about it so far?
Yeah, so I believe when I dropped off on Andromeda, I haven't played it in a couple days now. I think I was close to maybe 12 to 15 hours in. And, Gary, we were talking about how you played the early trial, and you said you guys should be aware this game is really rough the first 10 hours. Hopefully it gets better. I had to completely agree with you. The first 5 to 10 hours, I was like, I don't like this game. The whole time I'm playing it, I'm just like, the combat feels weird. The story is just not interesting. Everything about it, the facial animations, like there was nothing pulling me in. I'm like, there is literally nothing good I can say about this game. And I'm like, this is going to really disappoint people, because this is not good at all.
Hold on, Robbie. Are you talking about Mass Effect Andromeda or The Legend of Zelda?
Holy shit, Beasley.
Shots fired.
No, Zelda's great. I have very few
Almost
complaints.
the same thing you said about Zelda. Go ahead, though, Robbie.
No, I had really no complaints about Zelda. But the thing is, I was playing Mass Effect. I'm like, there is literally nothing good I can say about this game. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And I was like, you know what? I've heard after 8 to 10 hours, it finally gets good. It gets going. Let's keep playing. And I am happy to report the game does get better, man. It finally really kicks into gear where you can see past all the issues. The combat, as you get more abilities, it becomes really satisfying and fun. The story just kind of starts to dive in more. The planets are more interesting to explore. Every single element of Mass Effect that completely turned me off, it it's like a 180 turn. It just went all the way around and was like, we're going to become a really good video game now. And it sucks, though, because, you have to play the first couple hours and it's not good. Like, it's straight up not good. I really did not enjoy it at all. But
that's a real failure. If you've got a good game hidden between 10 hours of boredom, man, that's fucked.
Especially first impressions too, guys, like, are so important. You need to really impress people out of the gate, and this is like completely not even close to that.
How long is this game?
I've heard it's somewhere around 50, 60 hours, maybe a little longer than that, because I heard a lot of people did.
A fifth or a sixth of this game is terrible, and it's right up at the top, right up at the front.
I think the 10 hours is a bit misleading, Brian. The intro can be done in 3. It was just a 10-hour early access that people were given, so they played that intro.
Yeah, it's subjective. Like, some people might go and do a bunch of side stuff. Some people might just go straight through the story. So some people will get to it faster than others. Me, I kind of took my time. But, there's no doubt about it, though. I think people will agree that, like, it really sucks. They completely failed when it comes to the beginning of the game.
Is this kind of similar to, like, the Wolfenstein, the New Order debacle? Where the beginning of the game.
No, but this is like way longer. This takes way longer to get good though than Wolfenstein.
It feels like the issues with the facial animations are all stacked heavy on the front end. Like, I think they rushed animations of 2 or 3 major characters that are in your face a lot during that first.
It's so noticeable too. Like, it's shocking. Like, I just couldn't connect to the characters. I'm like, they really this game needed to be delayed because it's not ready. Like, it was clear to me when I was playing it. I'm like, I don't think this is done. They needed more time on this.
Well, I believe, Gary, pre-show, you were saying you were like 28 hours in.
Yeah, obviously I've put 10 hours of that were my early access. It just tags onto that. So probably 18 hours post prologue. And I have to echo exactly what Robbie just said, that the worst representation of the game was put out as the advertisement for the game, which I think is crazy. If they'd have just put out the multiplayer only aspect, I don't think they'd have had anywhere near the bad press that they had, at least prior to launch, and it wouldn't have done it. For me, the animation issues were centralized around 2 or 3 characters, which you have a lot of interaction with in the early game, which you don't see as much, and you spend a lot more time interacting with aliens moving forward. And the aliens look great. They look really, really good. Because I think it's difficult to see what an alien's face should look like moving. So I think it's easier to get that through. For me, the combat evolves a lot more. It's very similar to the combat of Destiny or The Division, in that it's ability based. And if you haven't got any abilities unlocked, it's very vanilla. You're standing there.
It's so boring. Yeah, it's not even fun. Like, it's just really boring.
So once you start unlocking those abilities, you start to be able to weave combos together and play in a unique way that defines you. The biggest change for me came from what Briar said last week. I watched back some of his comments and thought, this guy speaks sense, maybe sort of 5 to 10% of the time. So I'll pick out those golden nuggets when I can. No, he made a comment about it being Star Trek in a nutshell, space opera. And I thought, you know what? Actually, that's so right. I didn't give a shit about these characters. I was using them as an ends to earn XP. Where's the end of the quest? Where is it on my mini-map? Can I go there? Can I just do kill this thing, collect that? When I stopped doing that, I think, you know what? I'm in no rush to complete this. I don't care about the main story. I'm going to give a shit about what, Mr. Zulu here says.
Yeah, the combat's definitely the best part of the game. Would you agree, Gary? I think that's what makes Andromeda, it saves it for me.
I'd say the combat's really fun. The combat's solid. For me, the best part of the game has been the role play potential.
Thank God. I was hoping it wouldn't be the combat. That's not what Mass Effect is.
Yeah, totally though. That's a good point.
For me, the side quests are split into 5 tiers. So once you work that out and figure out that the lowest tier is exclusively tasks, which are almost tutorial level, then you've got system-based side quests, you've got crew-based side quests, you've got kind of main story side quests, and then main story. If you prioritize that in terms of, I want to get to know more about my crew, so I'm going to clear out these quests and really understand that and immerse yourself into it, I'd say it's on par or superior to The Witcher 3 in terms of depth of side quest. I had 2.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. I had 2 that I won't go into. Well, one of them I can go into very quickly because it's a shorter example and it's not a spoiler. When you start to colonize the planets, you determine which type of people you want there. Do you want military people? Do you want scientists? Do you want technical people, explorers? And based on which people you choose to come out of cryo and start populating that planet, the relatives of the other people that you haven't picked get pissed at you. They're like, why did you pick soldiers? Like all my mum and my sister and my kid, they're all scientists. And they're sitting there. You've gone for military. My scientists are left there. What do you do in that situation? How do you appease those people? And then you've got to go through and either justify your decision, double down on it. Do you then talk to the cryogenics people to release some of the people? But if you do that, then you've got to release everyone because you can't release some.
Wow.
And it's real complexities and moral choices that I got myself invested in. And to me,
that sounds like Mass Effect. This sounds like Mass Effect, what you're describing.
Definitely.
And I got to tell you, I'm really glad to hear you guys telling me that this is waiting for me. Because I was like, man, I love Mass Effect as a series.
Just be patient.
But
is all
everybody, like, I feel like the overwhelming majority of the internet is just like, yo, fuck Mass Effect Andromeda. You know?
Yeah, it is a little like, people definitely like to overblow things, but like I said, like there wasn't anything good I could say about the game within the first 10 hours. Like there was nothing pulling me in. Not the combat, not the story.
That's
not
a
the
bad thing.
nothing.
But if there is a gem at the end, I am planning on playing this game. I've told you guys before.
It does get good.
But, like, if they can patch some of the flaws, I've heard some, like, quests can't be completed because of bugs and, stuff like that. If they can patch some of that stuff over the next few months, during the summer, maybe it's discounted down to, like, $30 or $40. It might be the bargain of the year.
A lot of those issues have been console variants. So I've played PC, PC ultra settings, nice and pretty, 60 frames, loving it. I've only had one issue, which was solved by reloading a previous save. So I had one of my crew members clone themselves. So following a dialogue, two of them appeared afterwards. And I thought, I'll zone out and come back in. Came back, still two. There's two members of one of my crew wandering around. So all I did was reload previous to that conversation, which it auto-saves cyclically anyway. And it corrected that. But That's all good. Of these funny animations, all the other things, I think it's a console issue because the forums appear to be confirming that PC is, which you'd expect to be more jank, but the PC for once has got the better end. I don't know.
It's odd, yeah.
All right, I'm happy because I do want to play this game. I love the Mass Effect series, and I was really looking forward to this game. It's one of probably the most anticipated game besides Destiny 2 for me of the year.
I gotta say, if you're going into Andromeda, just be really patient. Like, just take your time and just give it a chance.
That's really one of my strong suits.
I know, Briar, but you got to do it if you want to find the love in this game. It takes time to get good. So.
Beasley, have you started playing Zelda yet?
Yeah, well, I'm probably about. God damn it, Briar! I'm not very far in. Okay, I did take my time beating Horizon Zero Dawn, and I absolutely loved it. And I thought the ending was amazing. Now my 6-year-old's playing it.
Oh, that shit gets crazy by the end.
It's a very good game. Now I'm playing The Legend of Zelda. I haven't given a lot of time to it, but that is the game that I'm focused on. It's one of those crazy situations where you just buy a bunch of games and they're all kind of new.
Yeah.
So instead of just playing your Nintendo Switch, you want to at least load up the other games and try them. So I've been playing a little bit of Ghost Recon Wildlands, which up on seeing it initially, I had negative feelings about it. I was like, this is not Ghost Recon. I like Jungle Storm and Island Thunder. This doesn't feel the same as what I used to play on my Xbox or on my PlayStation 2. It actually does. But they just added this incredible open world mechanic and kind of Grand Theft Auto-esque feel to maneuvering around and traversing the landscapes to get to these people and these targets and wipe them out. It feels really amazing. You got these little drones that you can deploy and all these new tactics that I guess they use in modern warfare. Nice little pun. But it really is pretty incredible. I've also given very limited time to For Honor. I told you guys, I think last week, that I had that game, and I just loaded it up and tried it probably for the first hour and a half. Right now, I'm really on the fence about it.
Yeah, man, that game is like a fighting game, though. It's like you've got to take the time to learn the mechanics before you can really judge that game, in my opinion, because it is deep.
Yeah, I finally ran into a boss that was doing some thug shit on me. I was like, you're not like everybody else. This chick just ran at me and she just started jumping around me and doing all kind of. I was like, what?
I forgot there was a single player until you said boss.
Yeah,
I totally forgot there was a single player mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming into it late, right? So I can't go straight to the multiplayer because I'm going to get completely demolished. So I've got to learn the fundamentals and see if the game has a single player that's worth even checking out. I let my wife play it. She immediately left. She said, "This is bullshit. I do not like this game." I was like, "Well, everyone has their opinions, but so far sure. I do enjoy the mechanic of I guess the way that you're able to block and counterattack and all these things, the special moves. But there's a lot of cannon fodder. Jesus, there is a ton of cannon fodder in the single player, and I'm talking one swipe at a time. You're taking out these guys with one hit. You turn around, hit another guys like boop boop boop. Hitting the groundhogs and the groundhog game at Chuck E. Cheese. I played that yesterday.
Yeah, but in the multiplayer in Dominion mode, that ends up getting added into your strategy. Because you build up your kind of special abilities by taking out those minion guys. So that then you can use them against real players. It ends up being worthwhile. I haven't played the single player, obviously, but
the game looks amazing. I'll say that the game is one of the better looking PS4 Pro games I've even tried. It looks great. It runs really well, and I'm looking. I really want to try. I want to play it some more. I'm in a really bad, predicament right now where I've got this. And let me say, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is what you guys have been saying. Just from the little bit of time that I've spent on it, getting my glider, which is, I feel like Batman.
When you said it's what us guys have been saying, do you mean the sensible people on the podcast? Or
yeah, we're not talking about Canadians.
Okay, I'm just gonna back out and quit the show right now. Fuck you guys.
Kid him, Robbie. Kappa.
It's all good.
It's a beautiful game. It's incredibly well realized, and just for the little bit of time that I've spent with it, foraging, finding items and healing, items. And I love climbing and getting those apples out of the trees, but it's a great game. So far, I've had no issues with it. I think that it's going to probably be at least the next 20 or 30 hours of my dedicated playtime, but it's really difficult. It was difficult anyway to just exclusively play this when I bought so many other games.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great games out right now.
Without trying them out. But yeah, this is the game that I'm playing. This is the one that the game is in here. You guys only see the black screen. But this is what I'm going to play. This is what I'm going to beat because I got to catch up to you guys. My wife looked at me. She said, "Babe," she doesn't call me Beasley. She said, something's wrong when Briar's beating more games than you, and all he plays is Destiny. I said, you know what?
That's not necessarily true, though, anymore. It's funny, though.
Basically, I've got a question for you, actually, because you touched on Wildlands, which I'm interested in. I didn't play it. I watched some streams of it, watched the early access. I've heard people say that it's a great game, but it's a great game that's come out 2 years later than it should have in terms of the doing anything new or being innovative. Like the landscape's been pushed on by games like Destiny and The Division and things that have advanced the kind of open world shooter. How would you answer that?
I think that sometimes old news can still be new news. It all depends on what you're looking for. Like, for instance, this leak of the new Call of Duty that's coming out is World War II. This is something we've all seen and played before. It's going to come out. They can't really push the envelope and change too much gameplay mechanics because we've seen it and it's based on reality. But it's still going to be a new game, and certain people are going to look forward to that type of experience. For the people out there who played Ghost Recon and know what this game is about, it's team, squad-based anarchy. You're out there taking out targets and extracting people and saving people. It is what you're used to, but they've added this whole new mechanic of being able to hijack people, steal their cars, drive down through the jungles of where.
That's not new. That was new in Grand Theft Auto 3 or Grand Theft Auto.
I'm talking about for this particular game. So to sum it up, if you know what Ghost Recon is, and it's something that tickles your fancy, if you're an older gamer who played it years ago, and of course that was one of my favorite games, one of the first games I ever played online because I didn't have a computer back then. It was always a special game for me. It feels like Ghost Recon, but they've added this whole new open world. You get in a car, the radio comes on, it feels like Grand Theft Auto for a second. You drive to a spot, you get out, you start climbing up a mountain, and you throw a drone out, and you go and surveil the area. All this stuff is new and modern.
I'll be interested if you end up playing this game for more than an hour or two.
I've already done that.
How many hours you put into it?
An hour and a half.
I said an hour and two. Like, if you put 10 hours in this game and still liking it, I think that's a different story. With an hour in, it's a little hard, I feel like, to get a really good feeling
guys, on this thing. This is the bottom line, and this is a very tough predicament if you work 40 hours a week or more. There's so many games and they're coming out consistently. It's like Mass Effect Andromeda. The wife looked at me this morning and said, I'm hearing that this game is not that great, but I love Mass Effect. We're going to have to get that. And of course, I'm going to get the game either way, right? Because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, almost as much as I like Final Fantasy. But that's another game that's coming out. It's going to take another 40, 50 hours. And I'm looking at all these other games that are going to take. There's no way to catch up. You cannot stop time to catch up.
I'm not saying anything, but every hour you put in to Wildlands, we're going to judge you as an hour that you didn't put into Zelda. I'm just going to leave that out there.
I think that's fair, Gary. That. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Well, now that I've tried it, I've played it, and I've seen what it is. It's here. It's not going anywhere. I really want to play Zelda. And the different ways that you can play this, my kids are outside playing the best game on earth, tetherball. I went out there and sat in my patio, and I pulled this thing out, pulled the kickstand out, bloop, pulled the controllers off and played it. And it was just awesome. Man, I love the different ways you can play this game.
That's parenting right there.
Yeah. There's a website that I don't like to visit too often called Time Wasted on Destiny that tells you how many hours you put into Destiny. I would like a website to be created called Time Beastly Wasted on Wildlands.
My wife could make that website. I might have her jump on that.
I'm not going to talk much about what I've been playing because I've been playing Destiny pretty much solely all week because I'm literally as hyped as I can be about not only the Age of Triumph coming up next week, but also the news about Destiny 2 that we'll talk about a little later. I've been basically, my time in Destiny over the last few days has been just be ready for Tuesday. Be ready. On like Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I think all I did was just kind of clear or build up characters, build up raid-ready characters, because I've literally been just PvPing for like, I can't remember how long, like 2 or 3 months at this point, maybe longer. So it's all about like, do I have gear sets ready to go for the new raids or the revamped raids that are coming on Tuesday? So we'll talk more Destiny later. I'm not going to go into too much about what I've been playing because it's all been Destiny.
I've got a quick question for you on it, though. Are you concerned that we are, once more, like Wrath of the Machine, over-preparing for the content that we've got to devour it like ravenous beasts and once more be left with nothing to play?
God.
I'm not that concerned about it because it's not a full DLC. It is the raids. Like, we're going to get the raids back. They are bringing back some weekly stuff that we could talk about on the Age of Triumph stuff. We are going to get these weekly events back. It'll be fun to go back into the raids. For the initial week, I'm going to want to do at least 3 of these raids, right? To get all the gear I could possibly get out of them. On week 2, we're going to have 2 new raids available, and I'm going to want to do probably 6 raids to get all the potential gear out of them. In week 3, we're going to have 3 raids available. I'm going to want to do the newest one, plus the other 2 to get all that gear out of
9 raids.
In week 4, so there's going to be a lot of raiding. I don't know that I can honestly, like, even in week 2 or week 3, I don't know if I can honestly maintain that kind of a pace, right? So I think as the month goes on and as a couple of months go on, I'll just be kind of continuing to raid. They also introduced this really cool story mission new feature where you go into this playlist and it just plays story missions for you, like a strike rotation playlist, but it brings in the Nightfall modifiers, which I think is going to be really fun.
That would be cool.
Quick question, Briar. Do you still play with the Milky Sirloins?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different version of the Milky Sirloins. It's a new version of the Milky Sirloins, but yeah.
It's like the new Temptations.
Kind of exactly like that.
Gotcha.
So let's get into the news. What do we got to talk about today, Robbie?
You guys want to start off with Destiny 2, or should we go from the order?
We'll start off with the important stuff and then move on to Destiny 2 at the end. Don't worry about it.
You sure?
Did someone just shoot a gun?
I'm just going to leave.
Whoa.
I'm poking Briar with a stick. I'm waiting for him to poke back.
All right. We'll just start from the top because that's the easiest way to do it.
All right, Destiny 2. We got to start with Destiny 2, Robbie. Come on.
Go Destiny 2. This is good news.
All right.
Destiny 2, we saw a poster released for Destiny 2, or not released, but leaked from an Italian GameStop.
Why don't I just read it?
Okay, as long as it's not, verbatim from a website.
I got it, Briar. Don't you worry. I got it. All right. Images online have surfaced for a promotional poster of the unannounced Destiny 2 from GameStop Italy, revealing several details. The game will be released on September 8th of this year, at least in the EU as of this time. There will be a multiplayer beta, and the rumored kickoff date is in June, with some sort of exclusivity for PS4. Lastly, Jason Schreier of Kotaku later confirmed on Twitter that the poster is indeed real, and an official announcement of Destiny 2 is coming very, very soon.
It's going to be available at E3.
So, Robbie, I want to know where you heard June.
The beta.
IGN. I kind of just
IGN?
took bits and pieces and made my own, though.
All
That's
right,
how I did it.
because I haven't heard anything out of Bungie from that, so I'd be really interested in where they got that info, because it is pretty important when that thing is going to release. But yeah, I mean, you read everything that's important in there. PlayStation is going to get exclusive content again in Destiny 2 like it got in Destiny 1. I think that's like the major
Not
downer.
surprising. Yeah.
The major downer for this announcement, or this leak. However, Destiny 2, seeing some art. The art was, I think, pretty provocative. I've talked a lot about that art.
No helmets.
No helmets. From what I gather, from what I see in that poster, is that I see the 3 Guardians pitched in battle in the last city, possibly in the rubble of the tower. Like, it's pretty evocative image. It's much darker. It's, gray and tan and brown. What's that? Very bleak, as opposed to, if you see any Destiny 1 art, you're going to see bright colors and, real vivid. And this looks like a real darker tone. So it's pretty cool looking stuff, man. And we're definitely getting a beta. We know that now. Hopefully we'll see an alpha as well. That would be great. And September 8th, that's a nice early release. That's less than 5 months away, or just over 5 months away.
Yeah.
And if that release date is actually, if it comes out to be real, do you think there's actual possibility that we get the beta at E3?
Oh, yeah.
It's possible they could do that?
I think it's very likely, actually.
The beta is available now. No? What do you think, Gary?
I could totally see that. Yeah. That would be awesome.
I mean, they've done that before, so there's no reason why they couldn't pull that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's just whether or not it's a PS4 exclusive beta. That's the point that Brian made about the PS4.
I don't think so.
The PS4 exclusivity, we don't know what that means. Now, everyone's nervous that this means weapons, strikes, real content. Mm-hmm. For all we know, it could be
early,
a week of early beta. Mm-hmm. It could be sparrows and ghosts. We don't know what it could be. I feel like community reception has been hostile enough to these exclusives, right. Especially with, and I don't know, Briar, if you want to talk about the PC indications, but with PC as a potential platform, I don't know whether or not Sony is still going to hold all the cards, with 2 out of the 3 platforms being Microsoft. So,
I would move forward with the expectation that the exclusive content in Destiny 2 will be very similar to Destiny 1 until we hear differently.
Yeah, and I think with the beta too, I think what will happen is it'll start first on PS4, then like a week later Xbox can join in. I think that's exactly what they'll do.
With the alpha for Destiny 1, the alpha was solely for PlayStation players.
Mm-hmm.
Then the beta opened up for PlayStation players first, and then later Xbox players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I could see a situation like that happen again too.
Yeah. It's a good time to get back into Destiny, Briar. It's super exciting.
Oh my God. Have you seen any of the gear, Beastly, that they're releasing with Age of Triumph?
No.
Age of Triumph comes out on Tuesday, and it is, all the raids are coming back, right? They're
the original raids, yeah.
Yeah. No, all 4 raids are getting like kind of brought back in current light level. They're all getting new equipment. They're bringing out a ton of new exotics. All of the raid primaries are getting exotic versions. Like, it's really exciting. It's really going to be a fun summer.
Legendaries too. Like, there's tons of different ones, and they have elemental damage in the exotic versions. It's really cool.
But there's only 4 for people who are part of the original vanilla Destiny, correct?
No, it's for everybody.
It's
a free update for everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
anybody who's playing Destiny today gets this update for free and can start playing Age of Triumph tomorrow, or on Tuesday. Sorry.
Yep.
It's also, it's worth noting as well that this is the first time that we've seen an update be predominantly, aside from big titular updates, be actually focused on PvE content and enhancing that. So as a PvP player myself, I mean, I'm hyped. I'll play it, but I'm not. It's not much for me to do. I've done Wrath of the Machine once. I did Kingsfall a similar amount of times until I got everything I needed. But this is the first time that the PvE players on the forums and in the community feel that they're actually getting, Bungie are working to deliver something from them. There's very little, if anything. I think there's Iron Banner year 2 only weapons are coming back into circulation.
Yeah, new or old Iron Banner gear coming back. One thing that's I think actually pretty exciting for PvP is that they are doing a sandbox update with the Age of Triumph. It's minor tweaks but significant ones, and the influx of a bunch of, I wouldn't call them new weapons, but returning weapons. Yeah. I think could change the landscape a little bit. Vision of Confluence I always loved.
Oh, that's such a good scout.
And the tower vendors are all getting a refresh, not just once but weekly.
That's true.
So we could see some changes there, but it's definitely you are correct. It is definitely a PvE focused update.
Yeah. So for anyone that's been sleeping on the PvE content, just wanted to make that clear that this is for you.
Yeah,
this is what it is.
Well, it's funny that Bungie does that, like at the very end, like when the original Destiny is in its death rattle. Now we'll do something for PvE players.
It makes sense though, Beastly, because like from all the leaks that we've seen so far, with like the Mega Bloks leak that we talked about a few months ago, where Mega Bloks kind of leaked possibly some story spoilers where the tower may be getting attacked. Yep. It makes sense to build our Guardians up to the most powerful they've ever been right now, and then knock them down with Destiny 2, right? So the Age of Triumph, right? It's we're triumphant. We're like, so look at that. Follow the path of Star Wars: A New Hope and then into Empire Strikes Back, and I think you'd get a good feeling for what might be happening with Destiny 2.
Wow. Yeah, and if you're leaving the Disc 1 behind, it makes sense to leave Disc 1 behind with all of the content unlocked and playable. So if I go and pick that up off of the store shelf, I can still go and experience everything that was there.
Give them a carrot on a stick and more than that too. Like just let people have all this stuff to kind of cap off the game and move on from there. I think this is wonderful.
It's a pseudo Game of the Year edition. It's as close as you're going to get to Destiny Game of the Year edition.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's another little bit of news. It's not Destiny news. I'm happy we talked about that because it was exciting. I was at work when that news broke. But more news has been going on in the video gaming world concerning a very popular YouTube channel, very popular video game critics, Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty, Nick Scarpino, Tim Geddes, and Kevin of the Kind of Funny fame. Now, recently, something has happened with these guys, and we talked about it pre-show. We decided we'd talk about it with you guys. Back on March 8th was the United States, or I guess across the country, a Day Without a Woman celebration where many women went out or didn't go out. They didn't go to work. A lot of women decided they would celebrate this day without women by staying at home, not spending any money, and not going to work. Colin Moriarty, the only conservative member of the Kind of Funny group, made a joke on Twitter. His joke was just a few words. It said, peace and quiet. That was the joke that he said, hashtag a day without women. Colin Moriarty was lambasted by the liberal game media. There are people from IGN and GameSpot that came to his Twitter and roasted him and said, I can't believe I believed in you. You were such a person that I used to look up to you. This is pathetic. I can't believe you dropped to this level. Colin didn't know what was going on. He was actually in the shower when he came back to his Twitter feed. Right. He talked about it with his girlfriend, Erin. He let her look at the tweet, because she was coming home. He was getting ready to leave and go to work. She thought it was funny. He sent the tweet and went and took a shower. When he came back, pretty much his career had been under assault. Unfortunately, at least this is my perspective, his best friends at Kind of Funny, Greg Miller, Tim Geddes, Nick Scarpino, and Kevin did not have his back on Twitter. And Greg Miller penned a very snowflakey letter and put it up on Twitter and basically apologized for Colin's
snowflakey. Can you explain what that means?
Snowflake is a kind of a modern term for uber liberals who are offended by everything. There are people out there in the world now who you can't walk down the street and look left and then right. Someone's going to get offended that you look to the right too fast.
Yeah, that's such a shame that happens this day and age.
You can't voice your opinion. The freedom of speech is under fire. People find something as offensive speech, not even hate speech. You can't say that. A person's feelings got hurt. You need to take that back. That's a snowflake. And so Greg penned a very, very snowflakey letter and put it on Twitter and basically apologized for Colin Moriarty. Colin Moriarty never apologized on Twitter. He never took his tweet down. He later said on podcasts, he was on the Glenn Beck Morning Show, he was on the Rubin Report, and just the day before yesterday, he was on Joe Rogan podcast. He never apologized for it. He still doesn't apologize for it. And even though Greg Miller said that Colin partly wrote this apology, I do not believe that at all, because Colin didn't apologize at all on Twitter, on his own Twitter account. Colin later that day resigned from Kinda Funny, the corporation that he co-founded with Greg Miller and the other guys. And he has basically blown up across the internets since this day, because people who don't live in California, where these guys live and their company exists, see this as kind of an infringement on his rights, his freedom of speech. And it's kind of sad to see how the liberal games media really assaulted his character. Different news outlets called him a racist for making this comment.
Yeah, that's just wrong. There's nothing racist. Like, that's
character assault that's been happening against Colin Moriarty. But thank goodness Colin came out a few days later and announced, after his second outing on the Rubin Report, that he was starting his own YouTube channel called Colin's Last Stand, which is going to be primarily about politics, and he's going to be able to say what he believes and speak his own mind without the limitations of working at a corporation where people have opposing points of view and shout you down if they don't agree with your point of view. And so he asked people like me and like you and like people watching our show to go to his Patreon page to support his new efforts on his YouTube channel. He was only asking for $10,000 per month for him to move out of the apartment with Greg Miller, who he hasn't called a best friend since this day. So him and his girlfriend could move, and he could start his own YouTube channel and talk about what he feels passionate about. The last time I looked, he was at $40,000. Also, Kinda Funny, their Patreon page went from 36,000, I think, down to it's either 19 or 16,000 now, just in the course of the last 2 weeks. So this has hit them tremendously. Their YouTube analytics, they've been losing hundreds of subscribers every single day. All of their videos, Greg Miller actually yesterday addressed this on their morning show, because people were actually paying money to ask them questions. And someone had spent, I think, $15 and said, you have got to address what's going on here. Look at these dislikes. Half of the people here are very upset, and Greg Miller again.
So I think that does it, right? That's the news.
That's it. That's it.
What do you think about this piece? I think we know what you think. You
I'm sure
pretty much interjected what you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to counterpoint that, if we forget the politics side of it for a moment and forget about the repercussions of whether or not the man should or shouldn't have lost his job, I think what we need to acknowledge is that the offence that was taken at the tweet was because he targeted what was potentially a group that had been marginalised. So when I say that, women in general, the reason that this protest or this trend had happened was to acknowledge the value and acknowledge the degree of lack of recognition that women felt in the workplace.
And the value of equality that's deserved.
So by, I guess, belittling that, by adding humour to that, and granted, humour can be injected anywhere. I've seen incredible jokes on very sensitive topics, and I think they're very funny. I think in the timing of it and other things there, do you agree that it could have been, and I don't want, again, to enter into the politics of what happened to him on the back, but do you agree that it could have been maybe timed a bit more sensitively than during the protest actually happening to belittle women again?
Two very different sides to this. One, I think really when I saw the tweet, the first thing I thought was I had a little laugh and I'm like, okay, whatever, moved on. That was basically it. I was not offended by it personally. Then I kind of thought about it a little more. I'm like, this is a day though of International Women's Day, right? Like, this is a really good thing, sort of stepping up women's role in the world and equality. Like, equality is a super important thing. Diversity is very, very important. Everyone, in my mind, should have equal rights. That's super important to me.
Everyone does, Robbie. Everyone does.
Yeah, and they absolutely deserve to. And basically, so I kind of see it from both sides. I don't think he was trying to attack anyone or had any vicious intent with this, and I don't think it's fair to get angry or send hate to him or Kinda Funny. Don't do that. I don't think that's the way to do this. But really, I don't think that people should have reacted so badly to this. He could have,
he made a misogynist joke on, like, you know, a day where women are celebrating women, right? Like, so that's like me making a racist joke on Martin Luther King Day, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. So that's where there's both sides of it. People did overreact, but at the same time, like, you know, it's kind of like you could have maybe been a little more positive about this, but
yeah. I mean, that being said, though, I kind of agree with you guys. I don't think I wouldn't have made the joke. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the guy should be assassinated for making a dumb joke.
Absolutely not. No, it was harmless.
You know, I could see, like, saying on Twitter, like, that was a fucking dumb joke, and, you know, like, these are women celebrating being women today, man.
More careful.
Like, maybe that wasn't the best time for the joke. But I'll tell you what, if I made a joke like that and my friends didn't support me, and in fact, if they not only did they not support me, but they were like, basically, not backstabbing. Backstabbing is the wrong word.
True. It is, though, Briar.
But
they were making derogatory comments about it.
I'd be out of there just like he was. Like, to me, like, your friends, my friends, how I know, you know, somebody's your friend if you do something fucking stupid and they're for you anyway, right? That's how I know if somebody's my friend.
Listen, let me make a quick interjection here, okay? To me, this is much more simple than we're making it out to be. I don't think Colin made a misogynistic joke.
It's definitely a misogynistic joke.
I think he did.
It's definitely.
Let me finish, okay? Not everybody feels that way. My entire life, by women, might I add, have I been told that women do a lot of talking. We talk a lot more than y'all do. Shit. So this is something that has been kind of ubiquitous across the world, that women are more talkative than men. He made an Al Bundy, All in the Family joke that used to exist everywhere, and now you can't make a joke. Now, this is what Greg Miller said on his morning show yesterday. He said, if he made the show here, we would have laughed about it. I would have probably not made the joke, but he would have been fine. Everything would have been great. He said, but on Twitter, there's no context. Who are you? Who are you to say where a person can and can't make a joke in an open forum? And on Twitter,
I'm not saying, Beasley, that to me, I'm not saying that he should or shouldn't, like, be allowed to make a joke like this. But if you do make a joke about women on a day that celebrates women, expect some fucking backlash.
Yeah, and let's be
I mean, come on, that's reasonable, isn't it?
Like, Colin Moriarty is not a newcomer to media. He's not a newcomer to social media or the way in which the liberal masses would respond. He's a former senior editor of IGN. He's been, he is not, a green-nosed kid. I think he may not have expected that reaction, but I think if you say something like that, you've got to expect a reaction.
At least a little bit. Yeah, there would have been at least a bit.
I'm not going to take stances either way or the other. I think that the joke itself was it was in poor taste. Do I think that the reaction that happened to it was correct? No, I don't. I think there's fault in both sides of this, and I think there's whichever side you fall on, whether it's yourself, BC, or myself and Robbie. I think you've both got valid arguments in it. He was overpunished, but he shouldn't have made the joke in the first place.
This is the last thing I'll say about it. I think you guys know from my YouTube channel how I feel about this situation, but I don't care about the reaction of the world when a person says a joke, because guess what? People are going to be offended from here until the end of human life. There's going to be someone that gets offended all the time, and maybe the joke was timed poorly. That wasn't my issue, because guess what? People get over it. I don't think there was anyone rolling over that night in their bed saying, Colin Moriarty, I can't fucking believe he said that. He said, peace and quiet. It's just so derogatory. I don't think there was one person who felt that way. But the way that his friends reacted to this was my issue. If you build a legacy,
the way the press in general reacted to it, because I feel like the press jumped all over it, and like,
it was stupid. Yeah,
I think it was a dumb joke, and it was a dumb time to make that joke. But was it worth like
it was
the
racist.
Uproar that it caused? No,
hell no,
come on,
no, absolutely not.
The way that his friends, the way that Kind of Funny dealt with this issue is the problem. And the reason I say that's
where I have a problem too.
They have built a legacy on what Greg Miller calls his best friends. Okay. We are all best friends at Kind of Funny. We all have a hive mind. Everyone's peaceful. No one says anything that gets out of line. And if you do, everyone in the comments is going to shout you down. I'm a part of the Kind of Funny Facebook group. I have been for a couple of years. If you get in there and you get into a debate that appears provocative, the moderators will come to you and say, hey, look, this is kind of funny. We don't do that here. It's a hive mind mentality.
And so that's how I run my Twitch channel. If you make a joke that is offensive in my Twitch channel, you're not going to be in my Twitch channel long.
Yeah.
You're not going to be in my Twitch chat because I don't want it there. I don't want people coming into my Twitch chat and feeling offended because somebody's making jokes about them.
You should be welcome.
I mean,
unless they're Canadian, then it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine to believe I tell you about it.
That's understandable. Hold on 1 second, Gary. That's understandable, and I understand how businesses work. But my problem is this: if you build this legacy in this company and this corporation on the idea of best friends, and you treat someone who's physically and literally been your best friend for 10 years with this much disdain and what I consider turning your back on them, like Colin Moriarty said on multiple podcasts and shows, I felt left. I felt like my friends didn't have my back. I'm so thankful for the people on Twitter who came out to defend me. He felt that way because the people who mattered to him didn't do this.
Yeah.
And to me, friendship is what matters. Nobody's going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, and so am I. And I'm sure we've all had off-color jokes at some point in our life. But the thing is, if you make those jokes and your friends and family turn their back on you with the people who don't really matter, then your whole paradigm of your life changes. And that's the issue I took with this. It may have been an off-color joke. It may have been poor timing, and that I will concede that. It may have been, right? And to me, that's still up in the air because of the nature of the joke. But the way that this was dealt with internally by a company that built its legacy on what best friends are, it turned it all into a sham to me. And many people in the community, Kind of Funny, feel the exact same way. This is not a community of real best friends because best friends don't let this happen. And that's just how I feel.
Talking about best friends, I know that Briar and me used to be best friends with Call of Duty, and we may well be best friends again. Robbie, tell me about World War II Call of Duty.
Wow, what a transition, guys.
That was awesome.
Right.
That was good.
I like it, though. Yeah, I think we've set up a kind of funny conversation, so it is what it is. All right, guys, the next Call of Duty game in development by Sledgehammer Games and due by the end of this year has had a Reddit leak revealing new details. First off, the game will be called Call of Duty World War II.
Oh, that's original.
Going all the way back to the origins of the very first Call of Duty games set during that time. This comes after Activision CEO Eric Hirschberg previously stated this year's Call of Duty will go back to its roots. Several videos posted online relating to the unannounced game have been hit by copyright strikes from Activision, adding more fuel to the fire that this may end up being this year's game. Additionally, a newly introduced line of Mega Bloks figures for Call of Duty shows a World War II infantry vehicle and soldiers.
Mega Bloks are dicks, man. They're screwing everyone left.
They leaked Destiny, now they leaked...
Activision and Mega Bloks are going to have a real fucking problem.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask you guys a question. This new Call of Duty, I'm actually looking forward to it because back in the day when every Call of Duty was about, World War I or World War II, it was
World War
great
II
to
specifically,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, mostly. I never really got into it. I would play it and I was like, oh, this is kind of, it's back in the past. And back then, everybody yearned for something new. I think now with modern technology, it's going to be amazing to play it. But is it going to be the exact same story we've played over and over again?
No, we've never had a Call of Duty. I might be wrong. You're probably going to
You're totally wrong, yeah.
We've never had a Call of Duty do the D-Day landings, as far as I'm aware. The only time I've played it was Medal of Honor Allied Assault in 2002.
There definitely was.
I don't know if there was a Call of Duty specifically, but I've stormed the deep beach at Normandy multiple times over the years.
Yeah.
I remember doing it in 2002 on Medal of Honor, which was a great series. But the Call of Duties I played was the first one on PC and United Offensive, the expansion 2 and 3. There were 2. I think you stormed some bunkers.
I want to say Call of Duty 2. You did storm Normandy.
I think it was
not for sure though.
I don't think it was. I think it was North Africa, but you stormed beaches.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, for me, what do you guys think? For me, this could be the game that reignites Call of Duty again.
It very well could be, and I hope that it is. Call of Duty is the one that you always want to root for, even though there's 3 different developers making them. It's been a part of gaming history for so long. But I have a good question. We all know that there was a tragedy that happened with Hitler in Germany and what happened to the Jewish people. Do you guys think I would have had a chance?
I think they'd have got rid of you first, let's be honest. Not because of ethnicity, just because of who you are.
Because I'm an asshole.
Because you're a PS4 fanboy and Hitler loved the Xbox.
Sony fanboy. Yeah, we're out of here with you. Yeah.
Hitler was PC master when he saw the way.
Get out of here. Yes. We're gonna put you in the gas chamber and gas you out.
Jeez.
I'm actually interested in this. Like getting back to a boots on the ground Call of Duty sounds interesting. I don't know though that Call of Duty is ever gonna really get me back like they had me. You know, like.
Yeah,
I just spent so much time with that series, and I've moved on to games that offer just kind of like broader experiences than here's a single player campaign, here's your multiplayer, here's the zombies. You know, like this segmented kind of way that Call of Duty works. I just feel like I've moved on past that. Games have moved on.
Hear me out. Call of Duty, World War II, D-Day landings. You're on the beach. You know, you're on the little landing craft. Okay. Rafts go down. You storm that bunker. Open world, survival game now.
Open world.
You've got to get it. You've got to get to the next town. Lock
You're
that
dreaming.
Town down. Get yourself forward. I'm just saying.
Listen, it'd be cool. I would be very interested in that, Gary. I think you should be going and making that game because I don't think that Activision is.
Work at Sledgehammer.
I mean, survival games are a buzzword. Last year, this year, people love it. Look at Breath of the Wild.
Look at
how it innovated the series. Resident Evil. Right now, you've got your little Thompson machine gun, you've got what you've saved from your buddies at the beach, and you've got a bunker locked down. You've now got to push forward through occupied France.
I love it.
Done.
Sounds like fun.
Imagine finding a beautiful French woman who lets you stay in her basement behind a brick wall, and then you fall in love with her and you get laid, and then right after that, you both escape and her house explodes.
It's not Mass Effect.
Because Call of Duty, especially their campaigns, they've been extraordinarily boring for years. And I know a lot of people like Infinite Warfare's campaign. I didn't.
I thought it was awesome, personally.
It is just, it's that same regimented, shoot 15 guys, move up 10 steps, shoot 15 more guys, move up 10 steps. Like, it's been exactly that since Call of Duty 1.
Eventually it got boring. I was like, okay, I'm not into this anymore. I agree with you on that.
Was the Infinite Warfare backlash enough to knee-jerk a change in the gameplay element, though?
Possibly.
Is it even reasonable to think that they could have done that in a year?
It's not just
Infinite that game was in development before Infinite Warfare came out, right?
Yeah.
Well, Advanced Warfare didn't really do great. Black Ops, fine, but Advanced Warfare got some shit.
Yeah, I think it's the last couple of years Infinite altogether where they've made this decision.
Do we see it? Is Call of Duty going to surprise us? I just think, don't count out a cash cow like Call of Duty.
I think 100% they could easily smack us in the face and make a comeback. Like, this game, I think, could be really cool. Just because it's been so long since we've had a World War II game like this. And
it's literally been over 10 years.
Especially on new technology. Like, they could really just make it feel authentic. There's so many...
I just don't see it happening.
Such cool history and such cool weaponry and the story.
I think the most likely scenario... The most likely scenario is that they're going to try and emulate the success they had in the past. They're not going to move that series forward. They're going to move it back.
I don't know. If you're watching the games, what's popular on Switch?
I disagree. I think this is good for them.
King of the Kill, H1Z1. You got PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds coming out now in early access. People love that. Conan Exiles, aside from the big floppy schlongs, that's a survival game,
Aside from the main thing in Conan Exiles.
Big old swinging dick.
Trouser snakes, man. Nobody does them like Conan.
Oh, God.
Sorry, Beasley, I cut him.
Whenever Briar brings that joke up, I always look down and smile. I know what it's like to be Conan. But I'm excited, man. I think it's a good idea for him to go back. Who knows what'll happen? Call of Duty has never been open world, so to me, that's kind of elite. But you guys are right that I feel like there's been a lot of stuff going on in the Call of Duty universe, and we've seen a steady decline, I would say, in popularity and sales. And maybe it is time for them to pull a new rabbit out of the hat and try something completely different. Who knows?
Yeah, go back to the roots. I mean, this is all positive for me personally. I'm just thinking about it. I'm very excited. Like, definitely. But who knows? You're right. They maybe might not be good. We'll see.
All right. Well, Robbie,
I'm rooting for you, Sledgehammer. I hope you kill it. I want World War II, a really good World War II shooter.
And plus, finally, you can shoot Hitler and it actually look like Hitler. You know how much joy people are going to get out of that?
Oh, yeah. It would look photorealistic. It would be awesome.
All right. What's next on the news here?
All right, guys. A leaked job listing for development studio Tango Gameworks suggests a sequel to The Evil Within is in development.
Is that the one that came out and it was like letterboxed on a widescreen TV?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Shinji Mikami made that game. It was in development for like 12 years. I played it, but my fanboy glasses were on, and I liked it more than I actually do now. Now, looking back, I'd easily give it a 4 out of 10. I think I gave it a 7 on my review. Don't watch that review. Yeah, wow. Shut up, Robbie. At least I like The Legend of Zelda. But, yeah, this is something I'm really on the fence about. Who knows what will happen with Shinji Mikami? And I don't even know if he's involved at this point, so time will tell. What do we got next, Robbie?
Me, personally, I loved Evil Within, so I'm looking forward to it. But, yeah, I hope it's true. All right. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy won't feature Nathan Drake in any way, and it is set around 6 to 12 months after the end of Uncharted 4, staying completely separate from the main Uncharted storyline. It is, yeah.
It is news, but I think it's pretty much everyone could have just guessed that.
It's kind of
Didn't
obvious,
they say that when they showed the game for the first time, that it wasn't going to be? Oh, maybe was the news that it wasn't going to star Nathan Drake when they showed it, and then now the news is he won't be in there at all?
Yeah, this is the news, is that it's completely separate. Like, this is something that's way different from what they did before.
And I admire them, and kudos to Naughty Dog for this quickly jumping back out there with the Uncharted franchise, keeping it relevant and not letting it die with the legacy of Part 4. I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
What's next,
love Uncharted. All right, Nintendo has confirmed the widespread issues in the left Joy-Con controller on the Nintendo Switch, saying it was due to a manufacturing issue with the wireless interface and a small number of controllers, and that this issue has already been resolved internally and will no longer happen going forward.
Yeah. Have you seen the fix? Some guys opened up the Joy-Cons that came back.
Just move the antenna. Literally, that's about it.
No, it's a little tiny cube of sponge.
Yeah, it's like it's metallic sponge that blocks signal. I guess there's an interference problem with
it's that simple of an issue?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like an issue that shouldn't have happened. They put a metallic.
Little bit of sponge in there.
How did they miss this? I don't understand.
Apparently, there's 2 manufacturers making those boards. One manufacturer, there's no problem with. One manufacturer, there was this problem with.
That's why, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's pretty clear to everybody that they were rushing that product to market, so they might have just missed it.
And tell what else Nintendo have been doing? They've been hiring developers for an untitled RPG, which I saw we skipped over there. I'm not having you skip over the Pokemon news.
Oh, wait, say that again?
All right,
what do you don't say that's just Pokemon? Are you out of your fucking
I'm not into Pokemon, but
you're not into Zelda either. We're talking to real gamers here.
I am into Zelda. Shut up. I love that game.
Why does Robbie hate fun? What's up with Robbie?
I don't know. He likes the Evil Within.
I thought Canadians were supposed to be nice.
No, we're all shitty human beings. Sorry to break your bubble.
Anti-Canadian.
Yeah. I'm not nice.
An unannounced Nintendo Switch game. Wow. That's actually pretty exciting.
You want to share with the rest of the class?
Oh, we're talking about the mainline Pokemon developer Game Freak has posted several job listings for an unannounced Nintendo Switch game. And it said that, quote, is a title that everyone knows, end quote.
It's Pokemon.
That'd be fucking stupid. Why would the Pokemon developer make a listing for a new Pokemon game?
That's not even, they didn't technically say it's Pokemon, but it obviously is.
It's something that everybody knows. That's the only thing they can go with. And actually, it's a Nintendo game. So it's either a Nintendo franchise that everybody knows about that they turn into an RPG, or it's a Pokemon game that's technically all RPGs besides the one that came out for the Wii U.
To me, this is really, really interesting. And I've fallen off the wagon on Pokemon. I think the last Pokemon I played was, a few generations back. I've bought them all, but they've sat on the shelf just because I've got a Nintendo tax that I have to buy everything. But Breath of the Wild and Ni no Kuni, actually, if anyone played it on the PS3, showed me that open world creature RPGs work. Imagine Breath of the Wild's world with either a game like Pokemon or Monster Hunter, where you're climbing up the mountains to find this rare Pokemon that lives up there and is in certain climates, and you fight him in a condition. To me, that's what the Switch could bring. If you took Breath of the Wild, modded it into a Pokemon game, you've got the perfect Pokemon game.
That sounds
fun. Damn, you're just giving Nintendo gold, Gary.
Pokemon on the Switch, too. I mean, that'd be the first time it's on a home console, right? Or
I still don't.
A mainline Pokemon game be on a console?
Yeah, they made a design decision, Game Freak, to avoid Nintendo home consoles. They'd focused on the handheld. I think there was an underhanded deal that they would focus and push the handheld for Nintendo. But the Game Freak director has said that it's interesting for Pokemon because it's the first time that their home console is also a handheld, and they'll definitely want the franchise in some form on the Switch. That could be Pokemon Rumble, for all we know, or Coliseum or Pokken Tournament. But that job listing, could be. I'd take Snap. Snap's good.
No, the rumored game is called Pokemon Stars. It's like an update to Sun and Moon. It's a sequel to that.
I feel like this is
Pokemon
separate
Snap, that uses a camera, correct? The Switch doesn't have a camera, does it?
No, but there's no reason why a Joy-Con can't be switched out to have a camera in it. They're saying that the Joy-Con acts as an expansion port for the future. There's patents that look at different things going into the Joy-Con ports.
Nintendo vibrators. All right, well, this is exciting news.
Is that what you want, Beastly?
No, I mean, I gotta keep the women happy, man. All right, so this is pretty telling news. Early on in the development of Resident Evil 7, the game was described as being very similar to Resident Evil 6 and said it took time for the project to come together before Capcom had the idea of setting the game in first-person view and setting the focus on horror. Why would it take Capcom that long to figure out that horror matters in a Resident Evil game?
They thought people wanted an action shooter.
They wanted big biceps punching rocks. You guys remember Chris punching rocks in Resident Evil 5?
It is polarizing. I'm a massive pussy myself, and part of the reason that I was apprehensive to play Resident Evil is that I don't like horror films. I don't like horror games. I shit myself.
I love
you guys are so similar.
So for me, I could totally get that they'd say, do you know what? This is our big VR killer app. Do we really want to make it that scary? Some people are just not going to play it or watch it. I actually stopped playing it in VR because I wasn't enjoying it. It was scaring me too much. Like I started playing it in the console. I was getting palpitations, man. It just wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy.
That hurt? Oh no.
Yeah.
It was one of the first VR experiences I had in my life, and that kitchen demo just literally, I almost pissed myself.
That's scary, man. That kitchen demo is fucking scary because
it'll lure you in, man.
That she's behind you, and you're like, what the fuck? And you're strapped down in that chair, you can't move.
Yeah,
so,
and
you
she
just
pulls
gotta
that knife out, stabs you in your leg. Look, Briar, he's reliving it. Look, I see the sweat. I'm sorry, Briar. You shouldn't have done that.
So I totally get it. If you make a deep horror game, you're taking a punt. They took a swing and they hit.
Look at the forums, the PSVR Reddit. There's so many people saying, "Man, this game looks amazing, but I don't like horror games. I don't want to play it." Like, it's too bad that this is the big game for VR right now. Because it's a horror game, and that's
one thing
that limits its audience somewhat.
Sorry, I interrupted. One thing that Briar and Gary has admitted to, that you guys are pussy when it comes to horror games. So what we got to do, we got to get together and campaign and tell all the pussies to stop being pussies. And
Gary, that's not how it works.
You guys did. You guys stopped it.
I was lucky enough that I had chat, right? So I played it live on Twitch, and I had chat. It was like having somebody holding my hand the whole time.
Yeah,
you take off the helmet.
My fiance is a sadistic woman. There's only one way to describe it. So no matter how many times I tell her, don't fuck with me when I'm playing VR, just don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
Every time she fucks with me, I'm playing it, suddenly she's grabbing the shit out of me, she's hitting me. It's an abusive relationship. This is a cry for help more than a podcast. This is it. But no, I started playing VR now when she's not at home. I wait for her to go out and then I play VR. That's how bad
smart.
It's got.
Smart.
Oh man, you're setting yourself up for the worst okie doke because she's gonna sneak in the house and scare the living shit out of you, man.
Yeah, I come back from grocery shopping earlier. Bow, bitch.
I wake up screaming.
Bow, bitch.
I wake up screaming at night of that very thing. Trust me, it's gonna happen.
So this little bit of news is about this console that nobody can find, and I've heard kind of contradictory news lately that more of these are coming out and people will be able to grab them. But GameStop is seeing very high demand for the Nintendo Switch, and the company expects the console to largely be sold out through the rest of 2017, says GameStop COO Tony Bartel.
Wow. So Nintendo, last week we were saying that Nintendo doubled the production on them, right?
Yeah.
And they're still thinking that it's going to be mostly sold out throughout the year?
8 to 16 million, from 8 to 16 million. Yeah.
Wow. Some people
That's fucking good
like
news
Zelda.
for Nintendo. Yeah, Zelda's a really good game.
It's an excellent game.
That's the best launch game that I can remember ever.
Wow,
any system.
seriously?
Probably one of the best. Yeah,
maybe
Halo,
the only one I can think of that'd be better is
Mario 64?
possibly Mario 64. But I honestly, I think
Halo
Zelda's
Combat
better than
Evolved
Mario
was
64.
amazing too. Those are
I'm
top
sure it
best.
is, Brian.
Is-
I really am.
Is it
Mario
a launch game for the Switch though,
Yeah, I mean it's available at launch on the system.
Zelda? Yeah, it is.
or is it a Wii U port?
Damn
It's
it.
available
Yeah.
at launch on the system.
I'd say it's a launch game.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it is a launch game because when it came out, didn't it come out for the Switch first? And didn't you? Were they both the
same
exact same day?
Same day.
But
It's not my hill to die on, but it's just an interesting point. It's not unique. I don't need a Switch for that game.
No, you don't.
Me neither.
But nobody
I
has a
didn't.
Wii U, so.
yeah, and people don't know where the
I'm
You
one
know-
of the few people that do.
yeah, you got to go in the garage and dig through shit, look underneath tires to find it, and nobody. I mean, who'd rather do that than just go spend?
I had to blow a lot of dust off that Wii U. It hadn't been used in a while.
You live in
Yeah.
Canada, you do a lot of blowing up there anyway, so no big deal.
Oh, I'm blowing all day, all night, baby.
I had to get a couple dick jokes in.
I blow as much as I can.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So
I mean, you
far,
love
we've
the
covered
Ocarina of Time because he does a lot of blowing
sexism,
that.
racism, Nazis, and penises. So is
And
there
the
any
PC
other?
Master Race. We also said that Hitler would have been in the PC Master Race.
Yeah.
There we go. I think we've covered the 5 major food groups for today. This is fine. I think this was a good show, you know.
Yeah, raise your hand on the internet if you're not offended yet, because we can take care of you too. We can get that done.
Hey,
Amazing.
hey, look, guys, after the show, everybody go to Twitter, go to the BC Thoughts Live Twitter page, and since the show is over, just write hashtag peace and quiet.
Is that it
Thank
for
you
news?
so
Are we
much.
done?
That's it.
All right.
Let's not
Cool.
do that.
That was a good show. I had fun today. That was a good one. I'm looking forward to this week, though. I am really, we got Age of Triumph coming out, and man, that is just feeding right into,
Look at the gleam in his eyes.
yeah. Yeah,
It's so
actually,
real.
tomorrow, you know what I'm doing
Child's
tomorrow is
play.
I'm doing a Charter to Keep It Live, so letting the viewers just dig right into my vault.
Oh, we're gonna troll the heck out of you, Briar. Oh man.
What
We're
time are
getting
you
all
going
this
live?
new
Chart
gear.
everything.
We're getting all this new gear. I don't have any room to put it.
What time are you going live? I'll be in my office, but
1 p.m.
definitely
Eastern.
checking you. All right.
1 p.m.
I'll be
So
on
we're gonna gang up on them. We're gonna do
Kingdom Hearts. I think Kingdom Hearts drops this week, doesn't it? The remake. Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5.
Does it really?
On Tuesday, yeah, the PS4.
Oh, wow.
So
They
I'll be
just,
playing that.
didn't they just release a Kingdom
They
Hearts?
just released one, yeah.
2.5, yeah. This is the 1.5, 2.5 bundle.
it.
So
Where the hell is
you
Kingdom
couldn't-
Hearts 3?
you couldn't get them on PS4. So this is the
Why
PS3 ports of the PS4 games. And the
I love
GBA
Kingdom
and the
Hearts, but-
PSP.
I absolutely love Kingdom Hearts, but they have got to stop with these fucking names. Adding all these extra decimal points. Final Fantasy. Listen, Final
I agree.
Fantasy.
It's confusing.
Final Fantasy Dissidio Duodecim. That's the name of a fucking game.
What?
Square. Yeah. And all they could have just said Final Fantasy Fighting. It would have been
Square was
much-
on a roll for a while there, doing the spin-offs on Final Fantasy. They were on a roll.
Yeah. One of the best Final Fantasies is on the PlayStation Portable, the PSP.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis Core. Like Briar I love that black backdrop, Briar. You remind me of a white Barry White.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
That's good. Yeah, I like it.
I like me some Barry White. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up this show, guys. Thank you very much for watching.
Oh wait, gang signs. I'm not from the hood.
I don't know any game sites, so I just do the peace sign and I cross
Yep.
it.
There you go.
I'm British. We don't have gangs. It's sort of way,
You have British gangs, I'm pretty sure.
Live
Man,
long and prosper.
I have
my
to get
friend.
a license to get like a BB gun over here. There's
Yeah,
no gangs. I go